much, Sabrina. The Russian president suggests that this regional conflict now has global elements, and the British are talking about fighting the Russian tonight if needed. IRBMs are being fired into Ukraine, and Ukraine is firing US and British missiles into Russia. So you are accusing Russia of escalating, they are accusing you back of escalating, but one thing is for certain, that things are escalating. Where do you think this is headed towards? Because many countries are very much concerned that hundreds of millions of people are going to be impacted by what could actually unfold. So where do you think this is headed to?
Well, I'll say something that we've said from the beginning is that we don't seek a wider regional conflict. We don't seek war with Russia. And I think we've been pretty clear about that from this podium and from this administration. What we are going to do, though, and what we have made clear in public channels and in private channels, is that we're not going to stand for another country invading its neighbor. And we're going to continue to support Ukraine in its fight. And I think it's important to remember that this isn't a secret. This was known from the very beginning. We warned Russia, back in 2022, not to do this. And they did it anyways. And so there are consequences for that. But we don't want to see this escalate into a wider regional conflict. We don't seek war with Russia. But absolutely, you're going to see like-minded allies and partners come together to support Ukraine. And that's what we're going to continue to do.
I could ask one more follow-up. I know that you say that you don't want a wider war,
Sure,
and that you don't want it to escalate, but it looks like it is kind of escalating from
well,
both
U.S.
sides.
forces aren't in the fight. You don't see, the only other foreign country that's been brought into this fight is North Korean soldiers on the battlefield. But you're not seeing, U.S. fighters on the ground. And that's not the intention of this administration.
You're right. You're saying that Russia invaded Ukraine. That's correct. You're saying that North Korean soldiers were brought into the battlefield. That's correct.
Yeah.
I'm not looking into who's right, who's wrong, but the fact is that things are escalating and other countries are getting dragged into this. So what I'm saying is that, are you concerned that this escalation is accelerating at a speed that no one would really like?
I think we're always going to be concerned by the reckless rhetoric coming out. We are certainly concerned by the escalatory moves, and acknowledging your point that Russia is making when it comes to employing DPRK forces on the ground. We acknowledge that is escalatory, and that would be met with a response. And that's what we're working with Ukraine on, and continuing to support them on the battlefield. But to your larger question of, escalation and bringing in countries into the fight, I'll make it very clear again, we don't seek war with Russia. That's not our intention, but we absolutely are going to support Ukraine, and that's been something that the president has been very clear about since day one.